Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be a tier list for Position 4 support for patch 7.30D, and this tier list is going to be kind of similar to the C one that I made previously. I didn't upload the video or put the video up or anything like that, but I actually had all of my tier lists made, and I was like, there's no way they're going to release another patch like this close to TI, but hey, they did anyway, so not a big deal. The patch wasn't huge. I think it just nerfed some really strong heroes, so it actually didn't change a lot of this 4-position list, but I did adjust things a little bit for that. But this is definitely going to be the last patch before TI, so I think after TI I might do some updated lists just after we see the meta develop at TI. But anyway, this is the 4-position list. Let's just jump into it. First we have Mirana, Nyx, Earth Spirit, Clockwork, and actually Weaver. So Mirana is just a typical 4-position, just getting picked a lot these days. Really, really good. Invis is always good. The Arrow is always good. This hero is just a pretty great 4-position, and I haven't done the 5-position tier list yet, but Bane is at the top of that list. It's basically Bane Silencer, and Bane and Silencer keep getting semi-nerfs. I still think they're going to be S-tier heroes and picked a lot in TI, and so with Bane being an S-tier 5 position, Mirana just becomes that much more valuable because you get that easy setup for the Arrow. And this hero is just like good all around as a ranged hero, 4-position support, as someone that can get, kind of her own farm in the jungle by, arrowing big creeps, all that kind of stuff. The same things that are always good with Mirana are good now. And then with Bane and some of these other supports that have decent stuns, she just becomes even more value. So I think that's just why. She's just like a very good support, traditional good support. And then Nyx has been a pretty good 4-position for the last few patches, and he's staying up at this position for whatever reason. He's just pretty reliable, good with scouting, decent stun, the mana burn is always great. He just has pretty good abilities, and then his Ags is just so value for defending or sieging. We'll see if this hero still stays, at this S-tier position with the coming TI, with the coming, development of the meta. I think it may drop down a bit. I think it might not be picked as much, mainly because in the laning stage, it is not that great. Like a melee 4-position like this is just, I don't know, it can be good, it can be really effective, but it can also be underwhelming sometimes. The mana burn is really good, but I think it may drop. It just has a very good win rate and a decent pick rate right now in pubs, in pro-level pubs especially, so that's why I put it up there. And then Earth Spirit is like an up-and-comer, and same thing with Clockwork. These two melee 4-positions that just stun people and catch people out of position and have decent mobility. Pretty much these heroes have just, Clockwork has kind of come out of nowhere, and then Earth Spirit similarly, I think because basically how the meta has shifted away from some of those ranged carries that farm stacks and everything back to some other melee carries and stuff like that, these heroes can just cause way more chaos and be way more effective against those carries that, can get kited or don't want to be trapped in cogs or don't want to get stunned up constantly with Earth Spirit's annoying damage over time and his stuns and his rolling in and his positioning abilities and all of that kind of stuff. So I think these two heroes are really, really good right now, S-tier, based on pick rates and win rates and everything like that, especially in pro. And then the last one here, I put Weaver as S. This is probably the most controversial one that I put here, and this is mainly just because looking at the pick rate and the win rate for this 4-position Weaver, it's very, very high. Now, the pick rate isn't huge, but the win rate, when it is picked, even in pros or pro-level pubs, is something like almost 60%. And really, if you think about it, the things that made Weaver carry good are also things that help Weaver support be decent as well, like mana cost reduction on the Sakuchi, all of these things that can also help a support Weaver. And then obviously you have the Ags build to save your ally. That's just, there is almost no worth that you can put on something like that, like an Oracle and a Weaver Ags. It's just like so good to have a beefed up, buffed up carry that you can save full to 0 in a big team fight. That's just so value, especially in pro level games. And then at range you can do that and kind of hide and cast that ultimate and all those kinds of things. So I think this could be like a sleeper S tier pick that can be like a carry pick early or something like that in a draft, and then suddenly, you know, oh wait, the Weaver's actually 4 position, that kind of thing. So look out for that in TI, actually, because of the win rate and pick rate, or look out for that to not ever be a thing at all. It's kind of one of those things where either it's really, really good or it's not getting picked at all. So I just put that up there as sort of a sleeper thing, so it may not be an actual S tier. I didn't even have Weaver on the list, but I just saw the win rate for that 4 position and decided to put it there. So that's the S tier. Nothing too special about that. Just the very good win rate heroes right now for all the different reasons. I don't think there's anything really, really special about these 4 positions, but like pretty much any 4 position on this list. But it's just this is just how the win rates and the pick rates are playing out right now. And I think a lot of these melee 4 positions are coming back with a lot of stuns, and that's why in A position, or an A tier, we have Earthshaker coming back to a big role. I think Earthshaker's pretty good right now, just because of like the way that these heroes work. Like the difference between the 4 positions, I think a lot of 4 positions like Lion and Hoodwink and these other ones that were ranged, that could stun at range and do other things like that, were probably better in the meta when there was a Medusa, when there was a Luna, when there was ranged carries and other things like that. But now that there's a lot of melee carries coming back and those kinds of things, these melee supports are coming back because they have a lot of stuns. They're not as like kited or whatever. They can get their spells off a little bit better. All of those kinds of things. They're just better overall. So that's why Earthshaker's here. Phoenix is here because Phoenix may be a little bit of a lower tier, but Phoenix is kind of rising and has a good win rate and is a decent hero in 4 position. So that's why Phoenix is here. I think Phoenix may be like a B tier hero, but I did put Phoenix here just because of the win rate and how the hero looks right now. Then we have Treant Protector. Treant is kind of more a 5 position, but the 4 position win rate is also really, really good. And Treant just can be so annoying. And is when it's a good Treant patch, it's very, very good. So this is a pretty decent hero right now. And then Tiny, I think, is a great hero, especially in pros. They're nerfing it a lot, but they're nerfing like the carry Tiny because that was super overpowered. I think that still might be a good thing, like or a decent thing in TI, the carry Tiny or even mid Tiny. And then you can also throw it into 4 position if you need to. That burst damage can never be underestimated. So I think Tiny's a really good hero. It may even be an S tier hero for the pro scene because of the flexibility that it has. And then the last few we have here is we have Venge, we have Silencer. Silencer being more of like a 5 position, but still very good, even in 4 position, just based on the win rate. Vengeful Spirit, both of these heroes keep getting nerfed too. Venge, kind of an offlaner, a pretty good offlaner, but also can be played 4 because of that damage reduction and everything like that, or a 5. I just put these 2 heroes up here because they have decent win rates. They're kind of top tier heroes right now, but they got nerfed a bit. And so in some ways they play more 5 or like off lane in Venge's case. And so they could even be B tier, but they're just, based on the win rates, they're kind of right here right now. And this might be like the last patch. This might be more of a C patch holdover, but this is where I'm going to put them right now. And then lastly, we have Elder Titan. And Elder Titan isn't getting picked a ton, but when he is picked as a support, his win rate is like 60%. It's insane. So although he's not like a super meta hero, if he had a 60% win rate and was getting picked all the time, I'd put him S, obviously. But he is just a very good hero in the right lineup, in the right draft. I think in pros he might see play in the right situation. So Elder Titan's up there. Next we have B tier. We have Skywrath Mage, Spearbreaker, and Tusk, all kind of on the upswing. These could jump up to A, jump up to S, just depending on how the meta develops at TI. Sky is just, you know, pretty good with his burst damage and can just burst heroes down really, really well, kind of rushing Atos and things like that. Just look out for Sky to become a meta thing. And then, like I said, these melee 4 positions are just becoming more of a thing. So Spiritbreaker and Tusk are on the upswing. I think I would have had them in like D tier or something like that in a few patches ago, but now they're just getting better and better these days. And I've seen games where Spiritbreaker just takes over. I don't know if it's a pro thing, you know, if Spiritbreaker is going to be good in pros, but or TI, but in your pubs, I think Spiritbreaker might just be like an A or S tier hero. It's just that in higher level Dota, he's not that good, just because he's kind of a weird hero. But I've seen him dominate from the 4 position, almost turn into another core and just like, you know, stun everybody, lock them down forever. It's just a really good hero. And then Tusk can never be underestimated, especially in the laning stage. It's so annoying to go up in CS against the Tusk. And then the last like 4 here, we have Coddle and Lina. Coddle and Lina are just kind of on the downswing. They're ones that are decent. Lina's also always kind of a decent 4-position hero, sort of like a Mirana, just is on the downswing for whatever reason, just is more of like a mid these days, but just isn't as popular. And then Coddle was like super popular there for a couple patches, but they pretty much nerfed this hero a lot, so now it's not getting played mid like it was, and it's not being played off lane or 5 position as much It's still getting picked, though. It's still decent, but it's just on the downswing, so I put it here. It could still, even out to an A-tier hero. I'm not sure, but it's just on the downswing and not as good, not picked as much, and not winning like nearly as much as it was before. So that's why I put it at B. But it could be a little bit better. And then these two heroes, Snapfire and Shadow Demon, they're just decent right now. Shadow Demon is also decent with the arrow combo, but more of like 5 position. These heroes are usually played when they're played as support as a 5 position. So that's kind of why I put them there. But you can also pick them 4, and they're not terrible right now. They're just at this weird spot. Maybe I could put them in C tier, but their win rates are actually pretty decent. So that's why I put them up here, because their win rates are around 50%. And so they're in B right now. And then we're moving on to C tier. C tier is a little bit weird because all of a lot of these heroes are either meta or were just like very good, but like Bounty, Pango, these two heroes were pretty good 4 position, but they've just been nerfed in weird ways. Or like Pangolier was nerfed. Bounty wasn't necessarily nerfed, but the 4 position is like a bit of a hit or miss. It's almost more of like an offlaner hero these days. The 4 position win rate is pretty bad, especially in high level pubs. So that's why I put it down here, because it's not like, I just wouldn't put it high on the 4 position list because of that. I think maybe it could be B, maybe it could be A, but the problem is in high-level pubs, it has like a 46% win rate or something like that as 4 position. It's just not very good because you don't get the items. You don't get Ags, you don't get Tanky, you don't get all of the things that you need to actually like snowball the game and become really, really good on this hero. And that's kind of a problem. You don't really do as much as a 4 position. You're kind of just this thing that sits in the back and tracks people. And if you ever go in when you don't have items on this hero, you just kind of die instantly. So that's why it's there. Pango has been nerfed a bunch, so was kind of an offlaner, was kind of a 4 position that was really good, but now he's just received so many nerfs that he's just kind of on the downtrend. He's still getting picked a good amount, but his win rate is very bad now. It's like 46-47% in pro level pubs. So that's pretty much Pangolier and Bounty Hunter. They could be higher, but that's just kind of where they're at now. And then we have Lion, we have Hoodwink. These two were pretty good last patch or the few patches ago, but basically with the change of the meta and the melee 4 positions coming, to fruition now, coming to be more of a thing, they're just not as good. Lion's getting picked still a decent amount. People really like him, and you can never underestimate the stuns, but his win rate's just not very good. And same thing with Hoodwink. Hoodwink's decent, but the win rate's just not as good. And then these 3 heroes are other ranged supports that are kind of popular. People like Wind Ranger. She's a little bit on the upswing, but still not the best. Her win rate's not great. Same thing with Dark Willow, not a great win rate. And Rubik, not a great win rate either, but they're being picked decently, so I'm not going to put them in trash tier. They have potential to be B tier, but just for whatever reason, they're kind of on the downtrend for the last patches because melee 4 positions are kind of on the upswing. So that's C tier. And then D tier, we have all the bad heroes that you pretty much don't want to pick. Invoker, Enigma, they've kind of stayed down here for a while. They are sort of 4 positions that can be played there, but just don't pick them as much. Enchantress, kind of more of a 5 in some cases, but as a 4, still not very good right now. Shadow Shaman in the dumpster a little bit for whatever reason. He could kind of move up, but it's hard to tell whether he'll be a 4 or a 5 or what that will be, what that will look like, but he's just not that great, especially in competitive, but he might be decent in your pubs. And then Veno is more of like an offlaner, not a very good 4 position. I wouldn't pick this hero 4 position. Maybe 5, but not necessarily 4. And then Pugna, just a really, really atrocious support win rate for whatever reason. More of like a mid, probably, maybe an off lane. And then Pudge actually has moved up from F tier because now that Pudge has a hook that can do something similar to Mirana Arrow, Pudge is becoming a little bit more viable. His win rate is still like 44%, and he is getting picked a ton because everyone loves to play Pudge. But he's not just like the F tier trash hero because he can kind of like, if there's nothing to do and he can't get a hook on somebody, he can at least farm a big creep, which helps him, do something. And that's similar to what Mirana does. Like if Mirana doesn't have someone to arrow, someone to click, something like that, she can at least get a jungle camp or something like that. And so now Pudge can do the same thing. And so he's not the F tier hero. He's not like a grief tier hero. He's not completely in the dumpster. So I put him up to D. And then lastly, we have the F tier. It's just Sniper, Zeus, and Techies. These are just kind of like weird grief tier F picks that, don't pick Sniper 4. Don't pick Zeus as a support. I mean, maybe he'll come back as a thing. I just don't think he is. But people like to pick him sometimes, so don't do it. And then Techies, and never pick this hero ever. So that is my 4-position tier list. I hope you guys like that. I hope that makes a little bit of sense and it explains a little bit of the meta. I will say this is more even here. It's a little bit hard to tell exactly with the for position, what's going to, you know, rise to the top and what's going to fall. Because I think we're in this weird transition period where, you know, some of these heroes used to be good and maybe they're going to fall off, and some of these heroes are going to pop up. And I think after TI, this list might look very, very different despite being on the same patch. But this is where we're sort of at right now, and we'll see what happens in TI, what becomes popular. I think something like Tiny could shoot up to be really popular, even maybe Elder Titan. I think, you know, these three heroes, look for them to be pretty big. Look for something like Coddle to either be like completely in, completely good, or, you know, not picked, not good at all, and those kinds of things. Maybe Pango is still broken, you know, maybe Pango's still really good and is not actually C and could jump up, those kinds of things. Maybe Weaver isn't that S tier hero despite the win rate, it's just not going to be picked or flexed in this 4 position. So look for all these things to change a little bit, but as of now, this seems to be the 4 position tier list. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed. As always, like, comment, subscribe, all those things. Join the Discord if you haven't already. If you want me to look at one of your replays, you can request it there, or every Friday I'm going to be doing streams now where I do the replay reviews, so you can come to that stream, you can request a replay there as well in the comments section and all those kinds of things. So I look forward to that with all of you. As always, if you need coaching, go to my Patreon below. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.